There are two words in the human language more powerful than any prayer, any affirmation, any technique ever devised. Two words that, when spoken or even thought, set into motion the creative machinery of the entire universe. And here is what will disturb you. You have been using them every single day of your life, carelessly, unconsciously, without the slightest awareness of what you were doing. Every time you said, "I am tired," you were not describing a condition. You were creating one. Every time you said, "I am broke," you were not reporting a fact. You were issuing an instruction. Every time you whispered to yourself, "I am not enough," in the quiet of your own mind, where no one else could hear, you were speaking the most powerful creative words in existence. And your subconscious mind, faithful and literal, received every single one and built your world accordingly. I tell you from my own experience, there is nothing in this world more dangerous than the careless use of I am. And there is nothing more liberating than its conscious, deliberate use. Tonight, I am going to show you exactly what these two words mean, why they carry more creative force than anything else you will ever speak, and how to use them with the precision and reverence they deserve. After this teaching, you will never say "I am" the same way again. My name is Neville Goddard. I was born in Barbados in 1905, and I spent more than 40 years of my life teaching in lecture halls across New York and Los Angeles. I was not a guru, I was not a priest. I was a man who discovered a law as precise and impersonal as gravity, and I spent my life testing it, proving it, and sharing it with anyone who would listen. What sets my teaching apart from the many voices that speak about the power of the mind is this: I did not theorize, I tested. Every principle I taught, I proved first in my own life, then through the experiences of thousands of students who applied the law and wrote to me about the results. I did not ask you to believe, I asked you to test and see. The law I discovered is the law of assumption, that whatever you assume to be true with feeling becomes your experienced reality. And at the very center of that law, at the foundation upon which every technique, every method, every application rests, are two words: I am. These are not just words. I am is the name of God. Not a God out there, not a God on a throne, not a deity you must petition and hope will answer. I am is the creative consciousness that exists within you, that is you, and it is the only power that has ever created anything in your world. This is not blasphemy. This is the most sacred truth I ever encountered. And in this teaching, I will trace it from its biblical origin through its practical application, so that by the time we are finished, you will understand that the words I am are not something you say. They are something you are. Let me take you to the moment in Scripture that changed everything for me. In the book of Exodus, Moses stands before the burning bush. He has been called to lead his people out of bondage, out of Egypt, out of slavery, out of limitation. And he asks the voice within the bush a question that every human being has asked in one form or another. Who are you? What is your name? What shall I tell them when they ask who sent me? And the answer comes not from the sky, not from a mountain, not from an external authority, but from within the bush itself. I am that I am. Tell them I am has sent you. Most people read this story and hear it as a statement about a distant deity, a God named I am, a divine being whose name happens to be a verb. But I tell you, the burning bush is your own consciousness, the voice is your own awareness, and the name it gives, I am, is not a label. It is a declaration of creative identity. I am is not a phrase that describes God. I am is the experience of being aware. Right now, before you attach any label to yourself, before you say I am a man, I am a woman, I am old, I am young, I am successful, I am struggling, there is a pure, unconditioned awareness. A simple sense of being, of existing, of knowing that you are. That awareness, that naked I am, is the creative power that Exodus calls God. You are imagination, and imagination creates reality, and imagination begins with I am. This means something staggering. It means that every time you complete the phrase I am with a quality, a condition, a state, you are God naming himself. You are the creative power defining itself. And what the creative power defines, the creative power creates. I am wealthy, and the subconscious begins building wealth. I am loved, and the subconscious begins constructing the evidence of being loved. I am stuck, and the subconscious faithfully builds a world in which you remain stuck. I am unworthy, and every person, every opportunity, every circumstance in your world arranges itself to confirm that assumption of unworthiness. The subconscious does not evaluate. It does not ask whether the statement is true. It does not check your bank account or your relationship status or your resume. It receives the I am statement as a creative instruction and externalizes it into your three-dimensional world with the same precision and impersonality as the law of gravity externalizes mass into weight. This is not metaphor. This is the mechanism by which every condition in your life has been produced, every single one, without exception. I have just shown you the biblical foundation. That I am is the name of the creative power within you, and that every statement beginning with I am is a creative act. You understand that the subconscious receives these statements without judgment and builds from them without question. But this is only the beginning of the teaching, because understanding that I am is creative is one thing. Understanding how to wield it, how to use it with precision, how to stop the unconscious creation and begin the conscious creation, that requires a deeper understanding of what I am actually is, and how it differs from what most people think it is. And what I am about to reveal is the principle that most people never grasp, even after years of studying the law. It is the difference between using I am as an affirmation and using it as an identity. And that difference, that single distinction, is the difference between a life of frustrated hoping and a life of deliberate creation. Here is the distinction that separates those who transform their lives from those who merely repeat words and wonder why nothing changes. Most people, when they learn about the power of I am, begin using it as an affirmation. They stand in front of a mirror and say, I am wealthy, I am confident, I am loved. They repeat these phrases with intensity, with emotion, sometimes with tears streaming down their faces. They say them 100 times a day. They write them on sticky notes. They set reminders on their phones. They build entire morning routines around the recitation of I am statements, and nothing changes. Why? Because they are saying I am from the position of someone who is not. They are using the most powerful creative words in existence to describe a condition they are trying to achieve, and the subconscious hears the trying, not the being. The feeling beneath the words is the true instruction. And if the feeling beneath I am wealthy is I hope this works, if the feeling beneath I am loved is I am desperate to be loved, then the subconscious receives that feeling and builds from it. It builds more hoping, more desperation, more of the gap between what you say and what you feel. I am is not an affirmation, I am is an identity. When you say I am wealthy, you must not be reciting a phrase. You must be stating a fact about what you are. The way you say I am awake right now, the way you say I am breathing, there is no effort in these statements. There is no hope. There is no strain. There is only recognition of what is already the case. This is what I mean by occupying a state. A state is not something you declare. It is something you inhabit. It is something you feel at the level of being, not at the level of words. And when you inhabit the state of I am wealthy, when the feeling of wealth is as natural and unremarkable as the feeling of being awake, the subconscious does not receive an affirmation. It receives a report on the current state of reality, and it builds accordingly. The state you occupy determines the world you see, not the words you speak, not the affirmations you recite, not the vision board on your wall. The state you inhabit at the level of feeling. Consciousness is the only reality, and consciousness is always declaring I am something. Every moment of every day, your consciousness is completing that phrase silently, automatically, beneath the threshold of ordinary awareness. The question is whether you are choosing that something consciously or whether the old habits of mind are choosing it for you. Let me tell you what happens when the old habits choose. You wake up in the morning. Before you have even opened your eyes, the mind begins its report. I am tired. I am behind. I am not where I should be. I am worried about money. I am getting older. I am alone. I am not good enough. You did not choose these. They rose automatically from the depths of a subconscious that has been programmed by years, decades of unconscious I am statements. They rose from the assumptions your parents held, the beliefs your teachers reinforced, the stories your culture told you about what is possible and what is not. And each one of them is a creative act. Each one is the burning bush speaking. Each one is God naming himself into a new condition. By the time you have finished your morning coffee, you have already performed dozens of creative acts. And if they were unconscious, if they were the old, inherited, unexamined I am declarations, then you have already built another day identical to yesterday. Another day that confirms the same limitations. Another day that proves the same assumptions true. I tell you from my own experience, the most revolutionary act a human being can perform is not a great deed. It is not a dramatic transformation. It is the moment-by-moment monitoring of the words that follow I am, not to suppress the old ones with force, not to fight them with willpower, not to shame yourself when they arise, but to become aware of them, to catch them, and to gently, calmly, with the authority of someone who knows the law and understands what they are doing, replace them. I am tired becomes I am rested and renewed, not as an affirmation, as a state you choose to occupy. You feel the quality of rest in the body. You occupy it the way you would occupy a chair, by sitting in it, by being in it, not by describing it from a distance. I am broke becomes I am provided for, not with hope, not with the desperate energy of someone trying to convince themselves, with the calm certainty of someone who knows the law and has seen it work 1,000 times. I am alone becomes I am deeply connected, not as a wish, as a recognition of what is true in the dimension of consciousness where all things are created before they appear in the physical world. Man's imagination is the only redemptive power in the world. And the doorway to imagination is always, always the two words I am. Now I want to take you deeper, because the power of I am does not stop at personal conditions. It extends to what I call the I am states, and understanding these states is the key to mastering consciousness itself. An I am state is not a mood. It is not a passing emotion. It is not a thought. It is a complete identity that you occupy and from which you perceive and experience the entire world. It is a lens through which everything is filtered, a position from which everything is seen. Think of it this way. When you say I am a failure, you are not making a statement about one event. You are not describing something that happened last Tuesday. You are putting on an entire identity. And from that identity, you see every event differently. A compliment is dismissed. They are just being nice. An opportunity is doubted. That is for people who are actually capable. A success is attributed to luck. It will not last. The identity of failure filters every experience through its lens, selects the evidence that confirms it, and dismisses everything that contradicts it. And when you say I am successful, you are putting on a different identity entirely. From this identity, a setback is a lesson to be learned. An obstacle is a challenge to be overcome and grown from. A compliment is accepted naturally. Of course, this is who I am. The identity of success filters the same events through a completely different lens, selects different evidence, and creates an entirely different experienced world. The events have not changed. You have. Or rather, the I am state you occupy has changed. And with it, the entire experienced world transforms, not because the world is different, because the consciousness perceiving the world is different, and consciousness is the only reality. This is what the Bible means when it says put on the new man. It is not a moral instruction. It is not a call to be better. It is a creative instruction. Put on the new I am. Occupy the new state. Inhabit the new identity. And the old world built from the old state will dissolve, not through effort, not through struggle, not through fighting the old conditions, but through the simple withdrawal of consciousness from them. You do not fight darkness. You turn on the light. You do not fight the old I am state. You occupy the new one, and the old one dissolves because it was never a thing. It was only a state of consciousness, and consciousness has moved. What you desire, you already are in eternity. The I am state of the fulfilled desire already exists. It is not something to be built. It is not something to be earned. It is something to be occupied. You do not create it. You enter it. The way you enter a room, the way you put on a coat, the way you step from one position to another. And once you are in it, once you feel from it, speak from it, think from it, live from it, the subconscious receives the new identity and begins constructing the physical evidence of it. Not eventually, immediately. The bridge of incidents begins the moment the new state is genuinely occupied. So far, I have shown you the nature of I am states and how they function as complete identities that filter your entire experience. You understand that occupying a new state is not affirmation, it is a shift in identity itself. But there is a practical question that remains. How do you actually shift from one I am state to another? Especially when the old state has been in place for years, sometimes decades, and feels as permanent and immovable as concrete. This is the question that separates intellectual understanding from lived transformation. And the answer is more practical and more accessible than most people expect. Let me give you a practice that I taught for many years. It is simple, it is direct, and it works with a precision that will astonish you if you apply it faithfully. Before sleep, as you enter the state akin to sleep, that drowsy liminal space between waking and sleeping, where the conscious guard relaxes and the subconscious becomes fully receptive, choose one I am statement. Just one. The most important one. The one that, if it were true, would transform everything else. Perhaps it is I am free. Perhaps it is I am loved. Perhaps it is I am the person I have always wanted to be. Perhaps it is I am wealthy. Perhaps it is I am at peace. Do not choose 10. Do not choose 5. Choose one. Hold this statement in your mind, not with force, not with the desperate intensity of someone trying to convince themselves, with feeling, with the quiet naturalness of someone who is simply recognizing what is true. Feel it as though it is simply what is true. Let the naturalness of it settle into the body the way warmth settles into a room when the fire is lit. Let it become as ordinary as saying I am here, as unremarkable as saying I am breathing. Sleep as though the wish were fulfilled, wake as though it is already so, and when you wake, carry the state with you, not as a phrase you repeat while driving to work, not as words you mutter under your breath, as an identity you wear, as a state you inhabit, as a lens through which you perceive the world. When the old I am declarations arise, and they will, because they have had years of momentum behind them, do not fight them. Do not shame yourself for their appearance. Simply notice them and return to the new one, the way you redirect a wandering child, gently, firmly, without drama, without anger, without the belief that their appearance means you have failed. They will come less frequently. The new state will deepen. The subconscious will begin to accept the new identity as fact, and the world, your experienced, physical, three-dimensional world, will begin to rearrange itself to conform. Persist in your assumption, and the world must rearrange itself to conform. This persistence is not strain. It is not gritting your teeth for 30 days. It is the calm, repeated return to the new state, the gentle redirection, the quiet certainty of someone who knows the law. Each time you return to the new I am, the impression deepens. Each time you refuse to fund the old state with your attention and feeling, its hold weakens. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you hold with yourself, and that conversation is made up almost entirely of I am statements, spoken silently, in the privacy of your own mind, 100 times a day. Change those statements, and you change the conversation. Change the conversation, and you change the self-concept. Change the self-concept, and you change the world. There is a subtlety here that I want to ensure you do not miss, because it is the aspect of I am that separates shallow understanding from deep mastery. It is something I discovered in my own practice and confirmed through the experiences of my most advanced students. The unconditioned I am, the pure awareness before any label is attached, is the most powerful state you can occupy. Not I am wealthy, not I am healthy, not I am loved, simply I am. In this state, you are the creative power itself, undefined, unlimited, free of every condition you have ever imposed upon yourself. When you rest in the pure I am, when you strip away every label, every identity, every story, every limitation, you are standing as the burning bush itself. You are standing as the source from which all conditions emerge and to which all conditions return. From this place, you can choose any state, any condition, any identity, because you are not trapped in any of them. You are the one who chooses. You are the awareness in which states arise and dissolve. You are not the state. You are the I am that precedes it. Most people never experience this. They spend their entire lives trapped in one I am state after another. I am not enough. I am too old. I am stuck. I am unworthy. I am defined by what happened to me, without ever realizing that they are not these states. They are the I am that precedes them. They are the awareness in which these states arise and dissolve like clouds in an infinite sky. They are the creative power itself. And the creative power is not bound by anything it has created. It can uncreate. It can recreate. It can choose a new state in an instant, not in 30 days, not after a retreat, in an instant, because the I am is always free. It has always been free. The chains were never real. They were assumed, and assumptions can be changed. This is what I mean when I say you are God, not that you are all-powerful in the way the world understands power, not that you can control the weather or move mountains with your hands, but that you are the creative consciousness from which your entire experienced world emerges, and that creative consciousness is always free to choose again, dare to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Because the one doing the assuming, the I am, is the only power that has ever existed, and it is you. I want to address something now that many students struggle with, because it is the edge case that reveals the depth of this principle and separates those who intellectually appreciate the teaching from those who live it. People ask me, Neville, what about other people? If I change my I am state, does it change them too? Do they have their own I am? Are they also creating? And if so, whose creation wins? The answer is both simpler and more radical than you expect. There is only one I am, one creative consciousness, one awareness. It appears to be many. It appears to be 7 billion separate people, each with their own awareness, each creating their own world, but this appearance is part of the creation itself. In your world, in the world you experience, there is only your consciousness. The people in your world are expressions of the I am states you occupy. When you occupy the state of I am loved, the people in your world begin expressing love, not because you controlled them, not because you manipulated them, not because you sent them telepathic instructions, but because they are reflections of the state you occupy. Everyone is you pushed out. This does not mean other people are illusions. It does not mean they do not matter. It does not mean you can treat them carelessly. It means they exist within the same consciousness you do. And the version of them you experience is always determined by the I am state from which you perceive them. A woman who occupies I am unworthy will experience her husband as someone who does not value her. She will hear his words through the filter of unworthiness and find evidence of disrespect in everything he says and does. The same woman, occupying I am deeply valued, will experience the same husband as someone who cherishes her. She will hear the same words and find evidence of love and respect in them. The husband did not change. The I am state changed. And because the husband exists within her consciousness, because everyone is her pushed out, his expression within her world changed accordingly. Naturally, without effort, without conversation, without therapy. This is not theory. I have watched this happen hundreds of times over the course of my teaching career. The law is impersonal. It does not care whether you believe it. It operates with the same precision regardless. Let me tell you about a man who proved the I am principle with a single, relentless shift in his inner declaration. He was a painter, not a successful painter, by his own admission. He had talent. People who saw his work told him so. Gallery owners who reviewed his portfolio nodded with genuine appreciation, but the work did not sell. The commissions did not come. The galleries showed his work and then returned it unsold. And after 12 years of this pattern, the painter had constructed a very specific I am state without realizing it. I am an artist who is not recognized. I am talented but overlooked. I am someone who will always struggle. He did not say these words aloud. He did not write them in a journal, but they ran beneath his consciousness like an underground river, feeding every experience, coloring every interaction, shaping every opportunity that came near him, turning it, somehow, into another confirmation of the state he occupied. He heard me teach about the I am, and he understood, not with his mind, but with something deeper, that his identity as an unrecognized artist was not a description of reality. It was a creative instruction. And the subconscious had been following it faithfully for over a decade. He chose a new I am, Not I am a famous painter that felt too large, too foreign, too distant from anything he had experienced. He chose something quieter. I am an artist whose work is valued and sought after. He occupied this state with the discipline of a man who had nothing left to lose. Every night, in the state akin to sleep, he felt the settled satisfaction of someone whose phone rings with commissions. Someone who turns down more work than they accept. Someone for whom the question is not will anyone want this, but which of these requests should I take? He did not change his painting style. He did not change his marketing. He did not hire an agent or attend different shows. Within 4 months, a collector who had seen his work years earlier, someone who had passed on purchasing at the time, contacted him through a mutual acquaintance. The collector wanted 3 pieces. Then, through the collector, a corporate client contacted him for a lobby installation, then a magazine feature, then a second gallery in a different city that had never seen his work before. The bridge of incidents was extraordinary in its precision and economy. The subconscious had used the raw material of the painter's existing contacts, existing reputation, existing body of work, but it had arranged them differently. It had opened channels that his old I am state had kept closed, not because the channels did not exist, because the state of I am not recognized could not perceive them. He was the same painter. The work was the same. The world was the same. The I am had changed, and because the I am changed, everything that the I am was creating, his entire experienced world, rearranged itself to match. Man's imagination is the only redemptive power in the world. And at the center of imagination stands the I am, 2 words, spoken silently, that determine everything. I want to guide you into the pure I am now. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes if you are able. Take a slow breath and let the body soften. Let the weight of the day fall away. Let the noise of the mind grow quiet. For a moment, I want you to release every label you carry, not permanently, not forever, just for this moment. Release your name. Release your age, release your occupation, release the story of your life, release your history, the triumphs and the failures, the gains and the losses, release your relationships, the people who love you and the people who frustrate you. Release your problems, release your desires, release everything you think you know about who you are. What remains? Awareness, simple, naked, unconditioned awareness, the sense of being, not being something, not being someone, just being. The pure wordless knowledge that you exist. This is the I am. This is the burning bush. This is the creative power that has built every world you have ever inhabited, every condition, every relationship, every limitation, and every abundance. All of it emerged from this single point of awareness, and all of it can be dissolved and recreated from this same point. Rest here. Feel the freedom of it. Feel the vastness of it. You are not your name. You are not your age. You are not your bank account. You are not your diagnosis. You are not your past. You are not limited by any condition, because in this moment you are prior to all conditions. You are the source. Now, from this place of freedom, choose one state, one I am declaration, the one that matters most to you right now, the one that, if it were true and settled and permanent, would change everything. Feel it settle over you like a garment. Not with effort, with choice. You are putting on the new man. You are the creative power choosing its next expression. Feel the naturalness of it. Feel the rightness of it. Feel how easy it is to be this, because you are not creating something foreign. You are recognizing something that has always been true in the dimension where all things exist before they appear in the physical world. Isn't it wonderful? Hold this feeling. Let it deepen. Let the drowsiness come, if it will. Let sleep carry this impression to the subconscious, where it will be received as a creative instruction and externalized into your world with mathematical precision. You may release the scene now. The impression has been made. Now I want to address the question that always follows the guided exercise, the question that reveals whether someone has truly understood the teaching or is still standing on the surface of it. People say to me, "Neville, I felt it. I felt the I am. I felt the freedom of the unconditioned state, but then I opened my eyes and within 30 seconds the old state came crashing back. The old I am not enough. The old I am stuck. The old I am the person these circumstances define me to be, How do I make the new state stay? And my answer is always, you do not make it stay. You return to it. The old states have momentum. They have years, sometimes decades, of emotional energy invested in them. They are deeply grooved pathways in your consciousness, as familiar and automatic as the route you take to work each morning. You do not walk that route because you consciously choose it. You walk it because your feet know the way. Your body carries you there without thought. That is what the old I am states are, automatic pathways. Grooves worn so deep they feel like the only road. The new I am is a fresh path cut through untouched ground. It is unfamiliar. The feet do not know the way yet. The body does not carry you there automatically. You must choose it again and again with conscious intention. And each time you choose it, each time you notice the old state arising and gently redirect to the new one, the new path deepens, the groove forms, the familiarity grows. And gradually, over days and weeks, the new state becomes as automatic as the old one was. This is what persistence means, not effort, not force, not the gritted teeth of someone straining against themselves. Persistence is the gentle, repeated return, the way a river returns to its course after a storm, the way the needle of a compass returns to north. You do not force the compass, you do not strain against the storm, you simply return. Again and again, with the quiet certainty of someone who knows where north is, and eventually, and this is the part that most people do not expect, the new state stops feeling new. It stops feeling chosen. It stops feeling like something you are practicing. It becomes simply what is true. It becomes the assumption you live from without effort. And at that point, the creative power is fully engaged. The subconscious has received the new identity and is building from it with the same faithfulness with which it built from the old one. You do not need to be perfect at this. You do not need to maintain the new state every second of every day. What you need is to return more than you drift, to choose the new state more often than you fund the old one. Over time, the balance tips, the old state starves, and the new one becomes the dominant reality. I have watched students who drifted 50 times a day and still changed their lives because they returned 51 times. The returning is the practice. The drifting is not failure. It is the raw material from which mastery is built. There is one more teaching I want to give you tonight, something I shared only in my later years, when I trusted that the audience had absorbed everything that came before and could receive this without misunderstanding it. The I am states do not compete with one another. You do not need to choose between I am wealthy and I am loved and I am healthy. These are not contradictory states. They are not competing priorities. They are facets of a single identity, the identity of the person you are choosing to be. The master of the I am does not choose one state at a time, laboriously, the way you might redecorate one room of a house before moving to the next. The master constructs a complete identity, a self-concept that includes every aspect of the life they desire, and they occupy that complete identity with the naturalness of someone who has always been that person. This is what I call the master assumption. It is not a single I am declaration. It is the total feeling of being the version of yourself who has everything you desire, the version who looks in the mirror and sees someone they are at peace with. The version who walks through the day without anxiety because they know that their world is a reflection of their consciousness and their consciousness is deliberately chosen. The master assumption does not require 1,000 affirmations. It requires one feeling: I am the person I choose to be. And that feeling, held with naturalness and persistence, creates a world that matches it in every dimension: financial, relational, physical, spiritual. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you hold with yourself. And the highest form of that conversation is not an affirmation, not a technique, not a visualization, not a ritual performed at dawn. It is the quiet, moment-by-moment awareness of what follows the words I am. Choose deliberately. Choose from the unconditioned awareness. Choose with feeling. And persist, not with strain, but with the calm certainty of someone who has discovered the law and knows it cannot fail. The world has no choice but to conform to what the creative power declares itself to be. And the creative power is you. It has always been you. It will always be you. The two words that created your entire world are the two words you speak 100 times a day without noticing. Notice them now and choose. I want to leave you tonight with the simplest possible instruction, not a technique, not a ritual, an instruction so basic that your mind may resist it on the grounds that it cannot possibly be enough. It is enough. I spent 40 years proving that it is enough. Tomorrow morning, before the old habits of mind begin their automatic declarations, before I am tired and I am behind and I am worried and I am not enough can take root in the soil of your consciousness, pause. Just for a moment, a single breath, and in that pause choose one I am statement, the one that matters most, and feel it not as a wish, not as an affirmation, not as a hope thrown into the wind, but as a quiet recognition of what you are choosing to be today, what you are declaring yourself to be, what the burning bush is naming itself. Carry it with you, return to it when you drift, let it become the foundation upon which the entire day is built. And when the old declarations come, and they will come, because they are habits and habits take time to dissolve, do not despair. Simply return, gently, firmly, with the authority of someone who knows who they are. Do this tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Persist in your assumption, and the world must rearrange itself to conform. And the deepest assumption you will ever make, the one upon which every other assumption rests, is the one that completes the phrase, I am. If these teachings speak to something within you, you will find more of them here. Return when your I am has shifted, and I will take you deeper. There are layers to this truth that unfold over a lifetime, and I will be here for each one. The burning bush is not a story from the past. It is not a myth. It is not a metaphor. It is burning right now within you. It has always been burning, and its name, the only name it has ever given, is I am. Dare to choose what comes next.